Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Technology Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
It is the Technology Show where we translate geek
into very regular speak.
Very regular speak. I'm Brett Levy, and what's definitely becoming more common time now is Angela, you with me, our Chief Eagle.
You are indeed honoured to have yet again my presence in the studio.
Thank you.
I'm just keeping you in line, bro.
I'm going to have to come in with a mat or something really comfortable for my knees just now so I can be down there and, thank you again properly.
Yeah, and toss rose petals as I walk in.
Oh, there we go. We're doing it again. We're changing things up.
We are.
We have a guest. She's a very busy lady. She can't spend the whole hour with us. So we're going to do the guest of the week first, if that's cool.
Should we be offended that we don't get the whole hour with the guest?
She's going to listen to the whole show afterwards anyway and go, wow, that was amazing.
Because we're going to ask her questions and email her later and say, did you hear this bit?
All right, so I'm going to go straight into it. So we have Gai Le Roy joining us today. You are the CEO of IAB Australia.
Correct,
I got that right.
And I will listen to the show.
There we go.
But you should talk about me afterwards, and then I'll be forced.
We will. We always do that. I mean, that's a my thing, maybe not so much a Brit thing, but it sounds like a very official kind of ultra-secret security firm, IAB.
Well, you're wrong, but I'll let Gai tell us what IAB stands for.
I do like having bureau in my sort of
it's
company
cool.
name.
Yeah,
it is very cool. So the IAB is the Interactive Advertising Bureau. So it is a global network. So again, that sort of adds to the mystique. But it's basically a trade body that represents anyone that makes money or uses digital advertising in the market.
To what outcome?
To educate, to make the whole ecosystem, and sorry, I hate that word, but make the whole ecosystem work better. So put standards, guidelines, so it isn't just the Wild West. To the end goal of letting marketers and advertisers know what they're doing.
I want to just jump in there on the word ecosystem, and it's funny, this week's letter is E, so I could have actually used ecosystem, but we'll get to
work
that.
Like that. You don't get to retrospectively rethink.
Okay, but I'm not rethinking, but I think I just want to clarify the ecosystem.
Which means
that
we
were
either didn't
talking
think.
to. So the ecosystem you're talking about is obviously the way we all buy and sell advertising and the tools that we use, and that highlights the importance of what you do.
Absolutely, and it's got more players in it than it used to. So in the olden days of the original advertising, it would be a publisher and probably media buying agency and an advertiser. But now we've got a lot of other people in the mix, data players, different technology providers in the lineup.
People who weren't originally anything to do with advertising and have found that that's where their business plan is going as well, or they've had to adapt and allow for. And it is getting complicated. Even with podcasting, wherever you host a podcast, they have ways now of adding dynamic insertion of ads, and I'm expecting that will or does.
Look at you. Dynamic insertion of ads.
I know, it's
programmatic adbigrading.
At the moment, that is my new thing.
Ooh, I'm impressed.
When I have to wear my proper hat.
Your big boy and big girl hat.
Yeah, my big girl hat.
No, podcasting's hot at the moment. We do a lot of work looking at the revenue models that are coming out and different ad formats, and podcasting at the moment, I think it's really expanded probably really quickly. It is good, but not every podcast will survive if it's thinking it's going to be an ad-supported podcast. So people have got to think why they're doing it.
Could we
Correct.
pick your brains on some of that? Because I mean, in fact, in all transparency, and anyone can just see it on LinkedIn, I actually reached out to you. I mean, I've met you before, working with ComScore. But I reached out to you because you made a comment online on LinkedIn saying that, here's some of your top podcasts, and I was very cheeky as I am, and I said, well, we have to get you on the show and make our show one of your lists. But what makes you say a statement like that if you're expecting it to be ad supported to only survive, or what do you think is going to separate the good shows from the bad?
Yeah, and look, some shows won't want to be ad supported. They're there for a different reason, and that's fine. But to be ad supported and survive, it's the same thing as you would do in any media. You need probably scale, You need scale or a very important niche audience. You need to know your audience. You need to probably have really compelling hosts like you two.
Oh, thank you.
I will take full credit for that. I have carried you.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing that works in radio often works in podcasts. It's
Correct.
that connection with the audience through the host.
It's a very intimate forum. It's, for me, I've always loved radio because of the sound, and I believe you can convey emotion, you can convey happiness, you can convey disinterest. If you aren't connected, you can hear it. It's a hard sell.
Well, this is where it gets interesting. I mean, we got 2 cameras floating around here as we speak. We're moving now also into the visual aspect. 'Cause I was about to say, in the old days of radio, you could pick your nose and no one would see it. But now they can. It's a gross thought, but it happens. And I can show you footage of how many vodcasts are out there.
I thought you were going to say you can show me a video of you picking your nose, and
no,
I was
no.
hold that
I'm
thought.
aware of the cams. But this is the thing, and you mentioned at the beginning of the show, or the interview rather, that in the earlier days, there were 3 or 4 major players, and that was it. Now, not only podcasting, now we're moving into vodcasting as well. So it's a whole... Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Are we now diluting even more, trying to get advertisers spend? Or is it good to do it?
I think it's the reality of where consumers, whether that be consumer side or business side, are. So you've got to, if you're a marketer, you've got to get to the people where they are, and people have got more choice, which is fantastic. It just does sometimes make it more complicated if you're a marketer trying to work out how I spend easily, and more importantly, even the reporting and measurement and putting that all together.
And that's kind of where you come in, right? The IAB is about that reporting and measurement and keeping it honest.
That's part of us. It's really trying to make the whole thing work better. So whether that be, in the early days, it was around when every website set up and had a completely different ad size. So creative agencies who charge at that point, like $5,000 for a banner or whatever, something crazy, something wonderful, had to create 10 different formats for an individual site. So the IAB came in the US particularly and said, look, let's start with a basic suite of, I think it was 6 or 7 different ad sizes.
Yep.
So that's sort of where we started. And that's where we try and keep going. But the more complicated the world gets, which is great because it gives freedom, is how do you have standards but still allow creativity, flexibility in the market?
So. And how different it changes from the websites used to be the revenue driving force, which is why we had the click-throughs. You needed to get people on the site, click through quickly. Then we all realised it was content driven, and social media was changing too much along that road, especially with Facebook changing their algorithms every single day and new rules. It wasn't you learnt something and then you could become good at it. Now you forget about learning something, you've just got to be good at it all the time. So that's shifting.
Yeah, and understanding what you're optimising towards is the biggest thing. So we did create beautiful dashboards in digital of things that we could measure that weren't necessarily the right things to measure. So just pulling back and going, what am I actually trying to achieve?
We really do have to rethink, and I'm going to use a visual medium here to sort of cut through it a little bit, and Game of Thrones being a typical example of how how media has changed, because and bringing that back to podcasting is the fact that you used to just want to do a podcast to say it was another marketing branding opportunity. Oh, I also do a podcast. But it's the story, it's the characters, it's the comms around it, it's the whole life journey of any piece of content that you now have to consider. And without realising it, Game of Thrones has taken on a life of its own, but it has crossed over many mediums. Are
you talking about the fact that there were water bottles and coffee cups?
No.
Oh, okay, that's your show.
I'm talking about how I, apart from being a huge fan, am also engaged online with the ABC, obviously not the ones that were showing the Game of Thrones on TV, but they actually have a Raven alert on the ABC through Facebook Messenger, and I am communicating with them to discuss episodes and things that didn't happen but I wanted to happen. And this is all another spin-off
absolutely
of another piece, which is where podcasting, I see the life journey of podcasting going around that way, exploring other mediums that are connected to the show, which is the product, and how the spin-offs of that show affect, which is where we will get with advertising.
Yeah, absolutely. And things like when you're talking about dynamically inserted ads, they will help podcasts almost have a longer lifespan. So, without that, if you're doing a live read and it's a time-specific advertising or marketing campaign.
Is it evergreen? Then are the podcasts built around the marketer? Or is the marketing built around the podcast? It's the big question. Who's the show for?
So with all those being great, I want to get back to what the IAB does as well, and not Game of Thrones
we're
and water bottles.
exploring the marketing money.
Consulting.
Where is the
it's
marketing
good. I just don't
money?
want to run out of time with one of the core things. So, Gai, what's probably important as well to understand is, you've set up as a bureau and as a body, for lack of a better description. Who is your mandate to, though? Is it to myself as the advertiser looking to find best of breed? Is it still to look at the publisher's side and the big media house's side? Or?
So we're a membership organisation.
Yeah.
So they're the ones who fund us, which historically was very publishing. 80-90% of our revenues to come publisher side. That's changed over the years. So whether that be tech companies or media agencies, and increasingly actually advertisers. Are becoming members, particularly the ones who are in-housing and taking control of their advertising themselves. So
that's a big trend at the moment as well, right? With all the tools that we have, the in-housing is quite popular.
They retain control over the brand.
Yep.
But people join our organisation both because they want to be part of a community, but they want their industry to flourish. So my service is to my members, but they want to influence marketers and advertisers. So they're our audience, so to speak.
And do you have a student program as well? So I mean, the girls and guys coming through the unis or the TAFEs that are now moving into the bigger space, is there any value for them to understand the importance of what you do?
Yeah, there is. We definitely do. We do sort of lectures at uni and marketing, postgraduate side of things. We don't have a strict student program. A lot of our resources are free, so we do have a lot of people who download stuff and read stuff. We probably get more involved when they're in the industry those first few years. So we're just actually about to kick off a mentorship program.
There we go.
Particularly for the techie people, and there's some brilliant young kids who haven't necessarily... If you think about the old days, often senior management was sales and marketing, very articulate, EQ-driven individuals. And now you've got these brilliant kids who should be the ones leading in the future.
Yeah.
So this is both to give them confidence, increase diversity, because it is still quite male-dominated in a lot of organisations. I
agree.
And also just develop those sort of the resilience skills and the emotional skills that are needed to step up. Because you see, and God, I sound old when I'm talking about these kids, right? But a lot of younger people being put in very senior positions in tech companies at a very early age.
Yeah.
And they haven't managed people and...
Well, look at Zuckerberg. I mean, that's been a catastrophe. Yeah. Oh, did I say that loud? Sorry, Zuckerberg.
We do need emotional intelligence as leaders, so that's what we're hoping to do.
So you are doing this program?
Yeah, we're about to launch that.
That's fantastic.
So actually, this is probably exclusive, Brett.
There we go.
Finally, Brett, you delivered me an exclusive, and it wasn't anything to do with Mac.
But this is exciting, though, because,
it is
I've had these conversations with people like yourself and the older generation. We're saying that there's amazing talent out there, but if you let them go, they're interested in popcorn machines and
because
games.
Us
we understand the business side.
More mature people who have had some longevity in any industry, we do understand the business side, because we know at the end of the day, regardless of all the bells and whistles on anything shiny and new, if it's not a business model, or if you can't manage the business in some way, there's no sustainability. You don't survive. You don't make money. People don't get paid.
And just clearly articulating things.
Yep.
Why would you want to do that? You just say, it seems to be fashionable for someone to say, I've got this great idea, if only I could do this. And
here's $1 billion.
Yeah.
But I think, the mentors will get as much out of it as the mentees.
You say that. I've just finished, I'm about to start have just started my second mentor-mentee program with one of the other institutes. And last year I learned so much from my mentee.
The young people.
No, but you know what it is? It's exactly what Gay's saying now as well.
Yeah.
They're studying the latest and greatest and they're ingesting it. I mean, they literally are just sucking it in.
They're sponges.
Which I don't know anymore. So it's a case of I can ask questions to understand or maybe impart some knowledge, but then the responses I get back are not what I'm expecting.
But they learn differently. They learn differently now to how we were taught.
Yeah.
They wake up every day and they think that, a new app is just part of their lifestyle. Whereas we have to physically sit down and go, right, I'm going to look at this now. It's not as intuitive, Like my 3-year-old niece thinks everything swipes.
And they're being taught to question, and hierarchy is completely different. And
Yeah,
it's exciting for them.
Is this on your site? I mean, are you taking
It will
applications
be.
now?
It will be. So our Executive Technology Council, so the IAB have like about 8 different councils who focus on different areas, and these are sort of senior tech leaders, and they'll be driving that one. So
nice.
You'll see a press release come out in about a couple of weeks.
And
awesome.
do you lobby? Do you lobby government or other industry bodies for change? Or?
We work with them. We don't do a lot of government work. We'll obviously be looking at coming out of the ACCC, and we will help guide the industry in terms of there'll be new privacy legislation. So it's more the implementation, how the businesses actually operate. We work really closely with the other industry bodies.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a frenemy relationship, but I'm a political beast at heart, so I quite enjoying that sort of.
You've followed, because there is an issue now with such a new spin on an old industry of legislation not keeping up with it, or legislation coming through that's not effective or it's actually damaging.
Yeah, so industry works pretty closely with government on that. Where it lands, we'll see. But at least in terms of privacy, we've had GDPR in Europe, so we can sort of watch what's going there. California's obviously going through the same thing. And that's the lucky thing for me being part of the bureau, the global bureau, is that, IAB Europe led all the, lobbying in the EU. IAB US have a Washington very strong presence.
So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's
No,
already
we can
there.
rely on some of those really smart people who've been through it.
Because it is a global issue. It's none of these privacy concerns are just Australian orientated. It's the world now. Because
but it is tricky for tech companies and publishers who are getting different policy for different markets. When you look in the US, like a state-based policy, like how tricky is that to implement?
Yes,
It's hard.
when the country of origin has 50 other different states to concern about. No, you're quite right, and that's why we need that global approach, because anything now is global orientated.
100%.
Even I know that now with the internet.
With the internet,
and
thing.
and the Facebook.
Gai, it's been amazing. Thank you for coming on. Hopefully we do fall favour into your rankings. But yeah, and website IAB
Australia.com.au.
Okay, there we go.
Makes sense to me.
It does.
Thanks so much, guys.
Easy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it?
It was.
It was fun, hey?
It's good having a thinking smart woman on
Yep.
the show besides me.
I thought you were going to say it's good to have a thinking smart woman finally on the show.
No, I was not going to say that.
Okay.
Why would
I
I say that, Britt?
We won't say that, Britt, go back to your box. Okay, so we juggled everything around as we do. So I'm now juggling back to App of the Week.
Yes.
Boom.
What is the app of the week?
The App of the Week is called Tenor, like as in Tenor Gif, like Tenor. I don't know all the other.
Is it like Tenor the singer?
Tenor singing, yeah. What's the other ones? Baritone. What are they? I don't even know what the
Does it matter?
scales are in music. Well, I was trying to say tenor like the. I should thank you.
There's soprano.
Not the TV show.
Altos. Oh.
And baritone is one, isn't it? You see, I knew something.
Okay, like the 10 tenors.
So tenor, like correct.
So
TENOR.
Right.
So Tenor Gif Keyboard.
Tenor Gif Keyboard. Is that one app?
Tenor. You just search Tenor, you'll find it. It is a GIF keyboard. So before you go, let me tell you how fun this is.
Yeah.
So if you ask Tess, for example, when I send her SMSs, I've always got these little pictures and quirky GIFs inside them. So the way to do that is you have to go online and find a GIF.
Yes.
Then you have to save it.
Yes.
Then you have to upload it into whichever messaging platform you're using, and then you press send.
I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
So Tenor sits as a keyboard inside your phone. So you just scroll between keyboard, emoticons, if you've got Bitmoji or any of those, and then Tenor will appear. And you can search for GIFs inside your... Have you got it?
What about the ones that's
What about the GIFs that are already there? You just go to GIF.
Well, all you got is the ones that are there. You can't search for the ones that are there. What are you using for yours?
GIF.
images? Hashtag images.
No, you've got to find it somewhere. When you type a message,
Yeah,
how do you bring up your GIF?
It's got a little GIF thing
In which program are you in?
It's attached
in the message.
Yeah. And try that in WhatsApp.
Look, you go like this.
Yeah, that's an iPhone message app.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that.
Why not? It comes with the phone.
Some people are Android users.
Well, that's,
Wow, what was that? Did you hear that bang?
Someone's knocking down a building, relax.
So if you go to WhatsApp, you can't do that. It's not there. So WhatsApp,
Okay,
WeChat.
well, you need to provide that.
Well, I was getting there, but you all started with me like,
No,
but
you were
we've already got that.
saying. You were saying. Yes.
Okay. So you've got Tenor as a keyboard within your phone.
Right.
And then you can go into any message, even email. I can send it in emails. So I can search a GIF inside an email.
Too much time.
Yes, some people have too much time on their hands. That's interesting. That's good because sometimes I'm returning an email or I'm drafting an email.
And you just want to send them something like a picture, like go and jump in the hole or Bazinga.
And I'm like, oh, now I'll have to do it on my phone.
There we go. So now you just add the Tenor Gif Keyboard into your phone and in any messaging platform, boom, it's there. You just go search, find the GIF and send it.
And can you do that on your desktop?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't
that's
know
not-
if Tenor...
'cause that's not very helpful.
No, there you just go to giphy.com, grphy.com, and then you can attach it.
Oh.
So I'm giving you a double whammy
Right,
here.
okay.
I don't know if Tenor makes a
You're doing
desktop
two
version.
kind of apps of the week here.
Well, it's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
So Giphy, grphy.com,
Yep.
will give you those for your desktop.
Yes.
And then Tenor seems to be one of the best keyboards I've found
Right.
for GIFs on all phones,
Okay.
not just iPhones.
So we're saying it crosses over all platforms.
Yeah,
So
you can use it on
Android.
I don't know about Windows. I don't think anything works on Windows anymore, but Android and
I don't
iOS.
think. Yeah, it's not apps. Doesn't support any apps.
So that's my app of the week.
That's a good one. Can you dig yourself out of a 1-star review?
Wasn't it 1.5 stars?
Might have. I don't know if we can do 1.5.
No, I think you did. I think after my
1.5?
pleading and begging and
Okay, I
threatening
kicked it
to
up.
jump off the balcony, and we're only on the 3rd floor,
Yeah.
so it actually wouldn't do much damage.
Unless I pushed you.
I hope this is being recorded.
It
I've
is.
just been threatened to be pushed off the 3rd floor balcony. Anywho, so it's all geek to me, and we are at the letter
E.
E.
Epsilon in the Greek alphabet.
Okay, well, thank you. Epsilon.
Epsilon.
Is that the one that looks like almost a triangle shape?
No, that's Zeta. You're not up to that yet, mate.
I'm not up to that yet.
No.
We'll have to do that series next. I thought long and hard about this one, not because I was trying to just do better than my 1.5 star rating, which I have to, otherwise my ego is really going to be crushed. Ego, got it. But this is something that was actually quite relevant to you. This was something that I was hoping to solve a problem for you. So the word of the week, or the letter of the week, E, is for eSIM.
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 It's
Got to
for
get
my-
my Australian accent right.
That's for my
eSIM.
Surface.
Correct. But there's more to it. I need you to understand the whole technology of the eSIM and the pros and the cons of an eSIM.
Because it's not a proper SIM.
Well, it actually is.
It's a virtual SIM.
But it's embedded. There is a SIM. So, okay, so let me explain eSIM technology. What they do is they put a SIM card hardwired into the device. Now, Verizon, the cell phone network in America, has been doing this for years. If you buy a Verizon phone, you never ever put a SIM card in it. It's already in the phone. So this is not a new technology.
Right.
It was a very limiting technology because, one, you could never sell your phone afterwards. Like when your 2 years of your agreement were up, you couldn't do anything with it because you couldn't put a SIM card into it unless you sold it to another Verizon person.
Right.
And the second thing is that you could never network swap. So that became problematic as well.
Right. Is you
So
had to
couldn't
stay with
port
them.
your number.
They locked
Correct.
you down.
But Verizon, I don't know if they still SIMless. When I say SIMless, I mean still using an eSIM technology, or they have an exchangeable SIM. But the rest of all that doesn't do that. So eSIM is actually a SIM card built into the device. Now, the new Apple Watches from 3 and 4 both have an eSIM inside them. I said this was relevant to you because, like you said, with your Surface,
Yes.
the new Surfaces have an eSIM in them. There's a bigger play for eSIM technology. So the idea behind eSIM is the fact that it's already embedded means that it's already connected to a network, and all you need to do is sign up for a subscription.
But it's not is it a generic network?
This is why you sit in the seat. That's the potential future of eSIM technology. So at the moment, most of the manufacturers will do deals that, so for example, the Apple Watch, you can be on any network you want. They've made an open play.
Because Apple has allowed that.
Correct. But the Surface, I think, I stand corrected, is only with Telstra, or it's only with Telstra at the moment, and then they'll open it up. Where the exciting part of eSIM is that what should happen, in theory, is we'd be able to go into global roaming agreements, because now your SIM card will just automatically switch to whichever network you are in the world. So no more getting ripped off by telcos. Like, you're here in Australia, you go overseas, and you got to pay stupid roaming money.
$5,000 a minute.
If you think, in fact, the easiest way to equate this is if you take airline rewards. So if you're part of the global alliance, you could be on Qantas, British Airways, Cathay, they're the Star Alliance or something like that. So it doesn't matter which airline so if you fly on any of those airlines, you get your miles. They could do the same thing with eSIM technology. So I could be, I am on Optus now, and Optus is owned by Singtel. So if I went to Singapore, in theory, I should just be able to get off the plane and everything works because Singtel has a deal with Optus and my number's now on their network because of an eSIM technology. I don't need an embedded SIM to be activated, taken out, switched to a new one. I don't know if they'll do this. When the people that developed eSIM technology developed it, they were thinking of a global alliance. They were thinking that anywhere in the world, any network in the world, cryptocurrency comes into this as well.
Yeah,
Your currency would just be paid in Bitcoin, whatever percentage of Ethereum, whichever they come up with, that you could truly have a global network through an alliance with one SIM card.
And we really do need to be thinking about that. So there's no doubt that there is that must be part of the strategy long term.
It's just up to the telcos if they bully us or if they succumb. That's the.
I think they will either have to succumb or do those global agreements so that they can still clip the ticket.
Correct. Well,
because that's what
they're going to
do.
clip the ticket, but it'd be better for them to do it themselves and put that alliance in place. So, for example, and roaming works like that already. These agreements are already in place. If you are on Optus and you go to Singapore, I can guarantee that Singtel will be the partner. They will be because they're the holding company. Vodafone globally. If you're on Vodafone here and you go to the UK, you'll automatically get a welcome message from Vodafone.
Yeah.
So they've already got it. The agreement's already there. They've got these international agreements to support each other. Now they just need to say, you know what, guys, pay your flat rate, and if you're using the infrastructure in the UK, then your home company must just pay a percentage.
And it feels like with those, along with those questions, are the fact that if this eSIM in particular, if you look at it around the surface from Microsoft, is that, are they necessarily partnering with allowing the right kind of technology partners or communication partners to be involved in that deal so that you're getting optimized usage, because the whole point of the eSIM is to have the connectivity.
Well, remember the whole thing now, staying with the surface, is that it's data as well. So now it encourages the telco networks to put better data deals together.
Yep.
Because you would go to a country, you'd buy a data SIM card, you'd stick it in your Surface or a portable Wi-Fi router.
Yeah.
Now you don't need to do that. So you never have to walk into a shop. They can pretty much guarantee your business as you get off the plane. So it's just in their interest to do it.
Because
it's just whether they will or not.
The SIM and who you are with has always dictated your accuracy or your speed or your connectivity, etc.
Correct.
So by doing the eSIM and limiting us for choice, we will now be reliant on whether that provider is up to our business standards, for instance. So
but
I could still be stuffed.
You could be, but the nice thing is that you'll at least still be connected, albeit slow or intermittent. Yeah. But it just would be hassle-free. Yeah. You don't have to get off the plane and go and stand in a queue.
It's that seamless experience that I've been looking for.
Correct.
And
that's why I chose eSIM for E, because it was personal. Okay, so now you have to rate with personal use in mind.
So given that you have provided me with a positive option, not necessarily still sold on this eSIM thing, but glad that there are now options available. Out of 5 stars.
5-star rating.
Okay, you get a 3.5.
Oh, I'll take that. It's better than 1 or 1.5. So
it's better than minus.
I'm still talking to you about this minus rules, but so 3.5. I'll take that. That's
3.5
good.
stars.
But yeah, that's so eSIM. E for eSIM.
It's not groundbreaking technology, but it is something that will be offering us choice, and it will become
groundbreaking technology because the devices will be manufactured. They don't have to work any little moving parts to swap SIM cards. Also, if you remember when
those
we first
people
started,
that make SIM cards, they're about to go broke.
No. There's still a SIM card in. They still have to put
physically,
it's still inside your device.
Right, okay.
So they don't change. What does change is, remember when we used to have like full size SIM cards? I'm going back, and then it went to a smaller one that you pushed it out, and then a smaller one within the smaller, like almost like the Russian dolls, right?
Yes, and if the device needed a little one, you had a supporting frame if you needed it.
All of that's gone.
Yeah.
So now they can focus on making the technology universal, small, embedded, and you never have to worry about
But
it.
it means you'll be upgrading your device probably faster than you would have been as well, because the SIM technology, no doubt, is going to get better, faster.
Yeah, but
It's like
that wouldn't affect
processing
the speed
technology.
because it's still the GSM part of your device
Right.
that does the work. So at the moment, like your phone and my phone is only 4G.
Yeah.
Telstra launched the first 5G phone yesterday.
Yep, and telling us all that it's going to be amazing.
And well, we'll talk about that in things with a Z. But yeah, so that's not the SIM's fault.
Okay.
That will be the device itself with its GSM aerials.
Okay.
Cool. There we go. Actually, speaking of SIMs, and are we giving away another Alcatel?
We should.
Okay, well, let's give away another Alcatel. I may have to go and speak to Alcatel and get some more units brought into Geek. I keep giving them away.
I think we're only down to one.
Oh, okay. No, I'll get you some more. Don't worry. So, yeah, Alcatel, another giveaway. We'll put a question up, I suppose. Maybe we'll do a question about mentoring and menting and IAB and all these good things. Let's see.
I think the question should be, and we will make a note of this, what does the B stand for in IAB?
I love it.
What does the
not
B
Men in
stand
Black
for?
or Bottles of Water in Game of Thrones. I can give you those two clues.
I'm still sad about that.
Yeah. Well, let's not spoil in case there's still some people living under rocks on
Well, that's
3G
that's
or
their
2G.
problem.
Yeah, that was terrible. Things with a Z.
Things.
So I actually said I will talk about it later. I have got the Telstra starting their 5G phones. I think a few episodes ago I said I didn't really care that my head was going to get cooked now with all these little masts that are being put up in our residential areas. And being someone that's involved with council, I'm sure this is something that's going to come across your table.
It has already.
Come across your table.
It has already, yes.
What is your viewpoint on 5G and these little nuclear machines that we're sticking on our poles outside our kids' bedrooms?
So the issue is that everybody is looking forward to embracing faster and better technology in terms of 5G. So we're very excited about it. We're also excited to make sure that more people have access to the 5G network, which is very important. There's no point coming up with something if there's not widespread access.
But that will come anyway. I mean, as with any tech, except for the NBN, which is useless. But
we are disturbed.
Yes.
And the community at large is disturbed by the fact that there's infrastructure that needs to be attached and provided, and there is no good governance around that infrastructure. And this is what we are very concerned about.
So I was watching, it was one of the news channels, probably like 9 News, when they went down into one of the suburbs and they were speaking to, there's a group of people that got together. Here's the problem, right? The statement that the guys made in that specific group was, often with technology or any new invention, it takes 5, 10, 15 years until we see what has changed. Now, from 2G to 3G and 3G to 4G, there wasn't much change in the antennas and the technology. 5G, on the other hand, needs all these little micro nodes that they're putting everywhere. If you use your phone for 10 minutes, if you're on a phone call and you're holding it to your head, your phone gets hot.
Yes.
It gets really hot. Can you imagine those antenna, for lack of a better description, I think they're called antennas or they're rerouters or something, sitting outside the window of your double story, just cooking, like really baking high microwave energy, and you're trying to sleep at night?
I don't want to imagine.
Okay, so we can't pull the plug, right? Because
the
world is bought into 5G. It's coming.
We can't pull the plug, but because there is no governance around them and there's no legislation and structure, and they pretty much have a free-for-all part in the legislation that allows telecommunication networks to install whatever they want, wherever they want. And this is what is scary for our people.
It's very scary.
Because they are only dollar-driven. They have no concern for how their infrastructure looks in the public domain. They have no concern about where they install it, so people can't dispute it. It's the only piece of infrastructure that's installed that doesn't come under any guidelines whatsoever.
So does that mean that when we start growing 3 eyes and 7 hands and all these things, do we get to sue government automatically? And are we budgeting to have money for malpractice in 5 to 10 years from now?
It's a great question. Who takes responsibility for something where there is no control and no governance? And it's the scariest part of our future is that we have allowed this to happen. It's us, the people, that has allowed this to happen.
No, I don't dispute that. Look, as I said, I'm a big fan and I want the speed, but I've been a little bit head in the sand when it comes to, I've like kind of ignored the reports that talk about the negatives.
Yep.
And read the reports that talk about the positives. And then look, the positives are insane. 1,000 gigabit per second speeds on a mobile device is mad.
But
it's crazy.
Where the other part of that concern is that the 5G networks that are being rolled out, any of the revenue that is raised by these 5G networks and any of the data that is collected by these 5G networks is not going to be shared.
Yeah. Well,
so again,
it also brings the connected cars. So now they'll be tracking us even more than we're being tracked already, or engaged with more than we're being engaged with currently.
Well, that's a positive spin on tracking.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Look, it's here. They're rolling it out.
They've already
maybe
started
get tinfoil.
Well, they've started putting the positive messages on TV. We used to be able to do all these things, and now we're going to do all of these new things.
But it's like candy,
5G.
right?
It is.
It tastes good. It looks good. It feels good. It's like all these things, but you don't see what goes behind the scenes. Well, we've got it now.
We want speed. We have all sat in front of a device of some kind and said, wow, why is it so slow today?
Yeah. Well, you just said that right now.
Yeah.
You said that you might get a data provider that's slow.
Yeah, and then what?
We are getting what we wanted. We just might not be getting what we thought we were getting.
Well, we're getting more than what we bargained for.
We might be growing more than we get. So, yeah, that's 5G. But it is. It's happening. It's rolling out as we speak. A couple of, not negatives, but like silly things. So I don't know if you ever came across a company called Unlocked, but spelt without the E. So it's Unlocked with a D, no, Unlock ED.
Are they a password people?
So what they did, and look, I actually tried to build a similar product when I was still living in South Africa. It only works on Android phones. On your lock screen, they can sell advertising. So you have to swipe it to see it. So if you tap it, it will open that ad and then unlock your phone. Or if you don't tap it, if you just swipe, it's ignored. And, we're talking to Gai earlier about advertising, all these things. It was brilliant because you're literally getting in the palm of someone's hand when it's relevant. So if you're in a shopping center, we know you're in a shopping center, serve you an advert for pizza in that shopping center. And Google stopped them because Google makes their money from selling advertising based on location. Anyway, long story short, Unlocked is an Aussie company. They've had to drop their case against Google because they ran out of money, and now they have to pay $200,000
in legal costs
because they've dropped the case. So this goes back to my whole Zuckerberg, Google. These.
It was probably
these
cheaper to drop the case than pay the legal fees than anything else.
But these guys have lost out unnecessarily. I'm in their quarter. Google made the technology available, so Apple didn't. You can't get onto the lock screen of an iPhone. Fine, they've made, but Google did allow it. Obviously saw how much money these guys were making, couldn't buy them or acquire them or whatever it was. I don't know. I haven't read the whole case. So made it impossible. They just changed the codec that doesn't allow it.
And see, this is why in the legal fraternity, when you have a criminal problem or some kind of other domestic problem, you have access to free legal advice because you're not rich or you have no money and you can prove that there's means tested. But in the business world, it's still the giants that win, not
every
because
time.
they're right. There's no justice. It's just because they have deeper pockets. So I think there should be some kind of legal assistance available for when you are completely outmanned and outgunned.
But that's why the people around the world are now talking about trying to break these companies down. Now, honestly, you can't break the company down. All they do is just fragment into different divisions. But it's still the same company, and they still have the same legal resources. But
they have a monopoly.
But what should be happening is they should be prevented. So when a company gets to X, whatever that number is, choose a number, $1 billion, they're not allowed to grow anymore. They have to then start the second division. Because once the power is there, you can't break the power down. You can move it and hide it, but it's still there.
But for tax purposes, they pretend they are different divisions.
Yeah.
So that globally their tax is minimised so that they're never paying the correct form of tax wherever their company is. So I think what should happen, and it has to be global law, is that each company like Google has to have an Australian division which is independent and the cases against them or the tax laws or any other law.
That's a good idea.
I've given it a lot of thought.
So if someone takes action against you, that action's settled
correct.
In that person's
it's relevant
country.
in that country, which is exactly how it happens if you commit an offence criminally around the world. You get extradited back to the country of where you committed the crime.
Yeah, no,
To stand
that's
trial.
actually a valid idea. That would be
should
one way
stand
of
the same.
controlling the digital monsters.
That's what it is. And then it doesn't matter how big they are globally.
Yeah,
It is located. It's location based, just like they have ads that are geolocation based.
no,
Yeah,
that's
turn
not
the
a,
tables
not
on
a,
them.
Not a bad idea at all. In fact, I quite like it.
And you heard it here first.
There we go. I'll give you a bell for that one. So I'm going to stay with Google because this is something I'm actually quite excited about.
Google probably
They've-
hates us and right now is plotting against us.
Nah, Google's your friend, and I've always been a big fan. I just don't like when they quash innovation
Yes.
because it's eating their lunch. Then buy them. Keep offering more money and more
Give
money,
them
more
more
money,
money.
until you
Join
get them
them.
100%. So they've just announced Glass 2. You remember the Google Glass, the
Yes.
glass holes?
Yes.
Right. So Glass Enterprise Edition 2 has now come out. And there's been a couple of changes. One,
They
the
took
look.
a long time.
They had to. There was a lot of bad press about
Because
it.
it
Also,
was
there wasn't use
crappy.
cases.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that crappy. It was just
Crappy.
it was stupid. Actually, it wasn't ready for it. First of all, they've dropped the price. It's
Right.
now $999 instead of $1,500. So there's already $500 off the headset price. $1,000 is still a lot of money, but it's still getting there. And I'll tell you why they've done it. The other reason they've done it is they're going head on against Microsoft HoloLens.
Right.
So they're changing their positioning of the offer of Glass, and they're saying this is actually more a mixed reality headset than an AR VR headset, which is where they've failed in both instances.
Yes.
So they're going after HoloLens. What I'm going to predict, and also it looks different, looks more like the Buddy Holly, the Wayfarer type glasses, the
Yep.
Ray-Ban Wayfarer. So they look a bit better than these funny little steel things going across your eye with this little piece over your... that's why they call them glass
Yeah,
holes.
which
They look like glass holes.
looked a little bit like a Star Trek episode
Correct.
of.
So now they look like normal glasses.
Right. So they're
Um,
fashionable.
But here's my prediction. We'll see Mr. Bezos doing something soon now because Google's taken the war to Microsoft
Right.
in this space. Amazon's not going to sit back and just go, oh, well, you guys carry on and we'll see what happens. I think we're now going to finally see an Amazon play.
Yeah, but Mr. Bezos is a little bit poorer
Yeah.
for the moment, having lost half his
That's
empire.
okay. I still won't cry for him. He's
To Mrs.
good on
Bezos.
her. Good on her. But where it would work for Amazon is because Amazon's such a strong content play company
Yeah.
with Audible and Kindle and books. To read a book in a mixed reality environment makes sense. Instead of holding your device in your hand, you can just have it hands-free and reading because it's just appearing on your
Ooh.
eye. So, Mr. Bezos, I know you listen to the show. I know you're one of our subscribers. So there's
Correct.
an idea for you.
Yeah.
But that's how I would see them coming into that play.
Yeah.
And then
Bez,
obviously
you gotta do
adverts and that
this.
appearing. But it'll be interesting. But it's just Google didn't close it down totally. They've come back.
And is there an eSIM?
There will be no SIMs. It'll have to pair to a device.
So it'll have to pair to a device
Yeah,
which
it'll be
could have an
Bluetooth
eSIM.
could have an eSIM.
I'm just looking to the future.
I think you're
which will
liking
hop on-
eSIM actually. Maybe
which
that
will-
3.5 is going to move to a 4
Which will happen on the
soon.
5G network, which means my brain's getting cooked via my eyeball is
Well, the
where I was going
Bluetooth
to
is
go.
actually going to cook your brain anyway because that's a radio frequency. And you've got them up and down
You
the
like my
side of your head.
earpods. It's
Those will
like my
cook your brains as well.
I know, but it brings the word of God closer to my, I hear it inside now and outside.
Well, there we go.
Okay. You got more.
I do. Real, like...
And you look pained.
Yeah, I look pain because I
You
can't
have a
believe this
rather-
happened.
Well, you have a rather constipated look on your
Okay,
face.
so let me just put it out
Say
there.
it there.
You know how we have all our websites at .com.au?
Not all of them, but yes.
But no, Australia's
Yes.
official one.
Yes,
And then
yes.
America's.com and right. Well, our brilliant genius, is it geniuses or genia? What do we call it? What did we agree on?
Well, it
Geniuses.
depends whether they're smart geniuses or not.
No, these are dumb geniuses.
Okay, well then
but
they're Muppets.
Muppets, all right. So our Muppets
Yeah.
at au.com.au, sorry.
Oh, there's been a
at
big
Domain
stink about
Administrator.
this. Yeah.
They lost their own domain. So they registered AUHQ.
There's a Greek word for that.
Tell me the Greek word.
There's a Greek word for that. There's malakis.
Yeah, well, I know what that means, and you're right. I
Lose
could have
your
gone.
own domain.
They lost their own domain, and
'Cause
of
it's
course, there's people that track domains that come off.
Stupid. I know, because
and
I've
it
got a
got
back
bought.
ordering on a couple of domains.
It got bought straight away. So a private buyer
Muppets.
now owns auhq.com.au, which is their
Muppets.
head, and they were about to rebrand and recreate their whole thing under that space,
El
and
Stupido.
they've lost it. Yeah, and that's government money going down the drain because it's
Uh-huh.
on the administrator. Anyway,
No, they'll have to buy it back.
I actually talking about domains. I'm going to say to it because I do, But you know how we call Scott Morrison ScoMo
Yes.
for short? What's the new guy that got in Albuquerque? What's his name? Albanese.
Elbow.
Yeah, so no, I was going to say anal because it's A-N and A-L if we shortened it. So ScoMo and anal. Anyway.
Nobody else thinks it's funny.
All the Muppets that have got to auhq.com.
Yeah, we salute your Muppetness.
Yeah, well done on that one, guys. I have one more in my... One more to wrap up the show.
In your screen of balls.
Yeah,
I took a photo of because
this was an app of the week once.
I took a photo of it because I am going to post online and complain
Why?
to our followers and our listeners about you and your screen and what you do.
What's wrong with my balls?
Your balls are your notes.
Well, they are, but this is a mind map. Look here. If I zoom out.
I'm very unaware that it is a mind map. However, it is not a mind map that you share easily with others. You don't play
Look how
nice.
nice that is.
You don't share your balls.
I never share my balls.
Well, if your balls want to see any action, they'd want to be shared. So I'm telling you.
So I'm happily married.
You need to rethink that activity. Because not sharing your balls with your co-host...
You need this app.
It's becoming a problem.
So let's give a shout out to Mindly, which is the app that I use.
Mindly. Right.
They were an app of the week before. I'll send them a mail and see if they'll send you a pro account so that you can use my balls on your computer.
Well, I have my own balls then if they send me a pro account.
I wonder what girl would think of me sending my balls to you on your computer. Having my balls on your screen.
She'll probably say, thank God I get a rest.
She gets a rest anyway. We're married. So going to back to my ball, people are going to have to see what Mindly is all about now to understand this was purely innocent. Apple Pay saves the day. Maybe that's what I'll call this week's episode. So Westpac, NAB and CBA came up with an absolute joke, and I did call this a year ago, called Beam It, which was their answer to Apple Pay, that we could share money just by tapping and sharing, because they weren't prepared to pay the 1% that Apple wanted for Apple Pay. And I think it was only ANZ that had Apple Pay like from day one.
Yes.
So everyone, and you know how many people moved to ANZ because of that, because they just wanted the Apple Pay technology. So NAB and CBA have now finally capitulated, and you can now get your cards on Apple Pay. So the only ones that are holding out are Westpac. Westpac, you're pretty much as bad as Game of Thrones in my eyes. I mean, I don't know what they're holding out for. Like, were they waiting for maybe another series? I don't know what they're waiting for. But
the banks are known for not necessarily being user-friendly when they come up with something, because they very rarely test the actual market.
Yeah, well, they failed on that. They spent a fortune on
Yes, and
that.
it wouldn't be the first time. And what do they care? It's not their money, it's our money.
Well, now hopefully they've learned their lesson.
Unlikely.
But I am going to say that Westpac will capitulate. It might be a week, it might be a month, it might be a year, but they're going to feel a bit lonely standing
We all
out there.
capitulate to Apple in some way at some point
Correct,
in our
right?
lives. Yes,
it's true, right?
It is inevitable.
It is inevitable, and that's why I finished off the show with that. Is that just basically they didn't do anything wrong, they didn't do anything evil, but the banks have now eaten humble pie.
So I have I'm throwing down a challenge to you.
You throwing me a challenge?
Yeah, I'm throwing you a challenge for next week's show.
Do I get to rate?
Next week's show.
Oh, okay. Next week's show.
I want you to come back to me with I am disturbed by this new Samsung situation where you can literally have phone intercourse.
I know what you're doing with the Wi-Fi charging.
And
phone intercourse. I love
like
it. Hashtag phone intercourse.
It'll be this new Tinder kind of thing. You'll see someone somewhere, another
swipe
person.
Left, swipe right on your phone.
Do you mind if I just, put my phone on your phone to charge it up? How is that not going to be something where they take all your information out of your phone too, including your bank passwords?
Right. So I will save that for next week, and I will answer those questions for you.
Because I am deeply disturbed by this.
You don't have to do it. I'll answer that for you next week.
By this
Challenge
presentation.
accepted. Challenge accepted.
Okay. So is this the part where we do the knob shiny bit?
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about balls, so we might as well move to knobs, shiny knobs. So, that's a wrap. So until next time, keep your screens clean.
And don't touch Brett's shiny balls.
There we go.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.